Good morning, everybody. Good evening. Good afternoon. I'm happy to see you all back. And it's a nice, bright, sunshiny day here in the desert. How is it there? Marina says it's good. Warm, cold, dark, sunny, rainy, icy. Put in the chat something. Sunny. Good, sunny day. Okay. So today I thought we would spend some time on the consonants. Sunny and warm in South Africa. All right. So we're going to do a breakout group or two, and Marina will put us in groups with language. So get some paper and a pen. A marker is best. And we'll start with the main 25 consonants. So we'll work in groups, talk to each other, ask questions, discuss things. And what do you think? Do you want 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do 25 consonants? More than once, if possible. I want to see something in the chat, what you would prefer, 10 minutes, 15. I think you're right. All right, we'll take 15 minutes and Marina will help us. And here's a request I have. At the end, everyone show their paper or one of their papers. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just see what each other is doing, okay? So Marina will put up the first slide so we can look at the consonants. And I apologize a little bit. Not the next one. Yeah. Yeah. Not that one. Yeah. Good. No. Back. Back one. Yeah. Almost. See, it doesn't seem to want to stay on the screen. The next slide. Yes. All right. So I apologize for the quality of the graphic. I'll try to find a better one. I'm not the best person at graphics, which you have already noticed. But this chart shows the suggested direction to draw the letters, just a suggestion. Wait, somebody has something in the chat. What is that? Sorry. On a metro. Okay, that's okay, Olya. And also Amirta. Just study the graphic if you can see it and imagine writing them. We won't hold you to it to show us your paper. You can do it for homework, extra homework. So the chart shows the suggested direction to draw the letters, but you can do it the way you prefer if you like to do it differently. And again, I recommend getting some nice brush markers. Sakura makes some, Stedtler makes some. It gives you more control and you can appreciate the calligraphy, the calligraphic nature of these beautiful Sanskrit letters more if you draw them with brush markers, but it's certainly not required. Okay, so we're going to go into breakout sessions now. Draw these letters, talk to each other, ask questions, discuss, and we'll see you back here in 15 minutes.
Marina, will we have the image in the breakout room?
Yes, please. Can we arrange that, Marina, to keep this on the screen?
I have taken a screenshot. I'm just asking. All right. Otherwise, I'll post it into the breakout room.
Thanks, Andrea. And Marina, if we have another group, let them know as well, or there may only be one group. Okay, we'll start to come back. So, everyone, please, who is in a space where they can, share their writings with us. I'll share mine. Andreas, Tatiana, Julia, Kathy. Wow, Kathy, those are beautifully graphic. Natalie. Okay, I think that's about it, right? Anybody I missed? Good. I had trouble with the second Varga soft aspirated one. That was hard to draw for me. So let's go through them a little bit. Do you have any questions, comments, observations to share with us? Anyone? Open your mics.
Yes, how about with
Kathy, I have to stop you. You're breaking up. I can't understand you. Say again. No, no, can't hear you. Put it in the chat and we'll discuss it.
All right.
Great. Okay. You saw the screen, and Amirta is going to do this in her homework. Perfect. Anybody else while Kathy is typing have a question or a comment?
Hello, I have a question in our group. we had a question, what are those small signs in the fifth, in the fourth and the fifth varga, the fourth consonant, which is aspirated soft sound. So these like two signs, which is written alt or something. What is that?
Okay, those are just miscellaneous marks from the bad graphic. I'm so sorry. I didn't think that you would actually try to incorporate them into the letters. I need to find a way to erase those two, the fourth varga and the fifth varga. The fourth letter in each one just has a miscellaneous mark. Ignore those. Good question.
Thank you very much.
This was the first time that I've actually written down all 25 consonants.
Wow.
And it was interesting to see that some of them are very similar.
Yes, and that's horrifying, but true. Okay, we'll go over that in a minute. I see Kathy's comment here. Hang on, because I can't hear her anyway. Kathy says, special writing paper is easy to practice. She downloaded in the summer a writing paper and she will share it. Excellent. If we have a better version, a better graphic, I will be happy to provide that for everyone. So, Kathy, I look forward to it. And you probably sent it to me earlier and I didn't read it. Now, let's look at some of these letters. Andreas, which ones did you find to be very similar? Or anyone?
Sorry, I was muted. The first varga, the fifth letter, nga,
Yes.
is very similar to the third letter in the third varga, ja.
That's a duh.
Sorry, yes, a da. Da.
Yes, the third letter in the third varga, duh, is cerebral, so your tongue is going straight up. And the nasal in the first varga, which is ra, they look very similar, differentiated only by a dot. Anybody else find similarities? For me, when I first saw these letters, I was absolutely horrified because in the fifth varga, to me, the fourth and fifth letters, the b and the m, look way too similar. And I was saying, how will I ever tell these apart? But of course, the b has a broken sutra, and the ma has a smooth sutra on the top.
And it's the same thing for the fourth letter in the first and fourth varga.
Yes, exactly. Those two are, to me, very similar. The fourth letter in the first varga is the ga, and the fourth letter in the fourth varga is the da, and they look very much alike to me. I also want to point out the second letter in the first varga, which is ka. And to me, when I started to read Devanagari in real text, this letter was very hard to differentiate because it looks like a ra and a va, but it's not. It's a ka. But it looks to me still to this day exactly like a ra and a va, which you would pronounce rava, but this is another letter all on its own, which is ka. Any other comments, questions?
Yes, I have some comments. For me, it's it's hard for me to see change between first letter in first line and the second letter in the fifth line.
Yes,
For me, are the same.
yes, look at that. They're very similar, aren't they? And
Which one was it?
the first letter in the first varga, ka, and the second letter in
Yes.
the fifth varga, pa. So really the only difference I see is that first downstroke, the curvy one, is not attached to the sutra in the ka. It is attached to the sutra in the pa. Do you see what I mean there? But that is a very, very challenging one. Yes. Any other comments? I mean, we could point out the nasal in the third varga, which could get confused with a long A downstroke, right? But that, again, like the ka, the second letter in the first varga, is its own letter. So you'll have to be careful when you see that. But since there is no letter that just looks like that upside down U, and not upside down, but that U part, you will know if you see that with the downstroke, it's not necessarily a letter, a long A. If it's followed by a long A, there will be two downstrokes. Okay, well, we'll study this more, but let's go on to the next slide now. Okay, we're going to take a deep dive today. I call it the error alert because it's a very challenging letter. The amazing and versatile semi-vowel R. It can be a vowel. It can be a consonant. And for some reason, which I am completely unable to explain, it has many different ways of being written. And we'll go through some of those now. Okay, so remember, Sanskrit is a sound-based language. So how it sounds is going to affect how it's written in some cases with this letter or the letters around it. And it appears in different places in a line of Devanagari. And it's not always easy to recognize it. Okay. So it's one of the most mobile and multifaceted letters to write in Sanskrit. Next slide. Okay, so we already know 3 different ways of looking at this letter. What is the difference between the first 2?
Short and long.
Yes.
Little.
Short and what say?
Er and er.
Exactly. And And physically, the difference is the long has an extra curly Q. I don't know if translators know curly Q, but that just means extra curls, like the curls on a pig's tail. So curly Q is extra curls. And the last letter there is the semi-vowel, which is pronounced ra. Next slide. So someone asked about, oh, go ahead, Andreas, question?
Is that supposed to be a halant underneath the
Yes, we're gonna get into that. Someone asked what those marks were in the bad graphic, and I said those were meaningless. This one is meaningful. Andreas called it a halant, and the Sanskrit for that is virama. It's a slight downward pointing stroke under a final consonant. You see it there. So why do we have this? And some of you who have studied Sanskrit may know. Okay.
It removes the vowel, so just the consonant is pronounced.
Well, it does remove the vowel, and we still have to pronounce the consonant, but that mark, virama, means there is no vowel with this consonant. So remember, Sanskrit is abugida, not an alphabet. And abugida means it comes automatically attached with the most important letter, which is So every consonant in Sanskrit automatically has attached to it. And we only have 2 ways to take that away. One way is we write one of the other 15 vowels on that consonant. And we saw how to do that last week. But the other way is we put this mark under it. And it's called the virama. And it's usually, but not always, found at the end of a line. Or if you're writing for grammar purposes, you're writing the R without a letter vowel after it, just to study it. So we now have a complete group of markers, and this is the last one. So we have virama, and we also have anusvara. Which one is that? Who remembers anusvara? Andreas. Question or answer?
Not an answer, it was a question.
Yes.
Is the Devanagari script for the vowel and the consonant ra, because it's a semi-vowel? Is the Devanagari script the same?
For the vowel and the consonant?
Yes.
For R, no. We just saw the 2 vowel markers and the consonant.
Oh, yes, that's correct. That's correct. Sorry.
Can we go back to the previous slide briefly? Okay, so the vocalic R are the first 2, and the semi-vowel is the 3rd mark there, right?
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to where we were. And we're talking about virama. And I said we have a group of 4 markers now. Virama here, which takes the vowel away. Then we already know, anusvara. Who remembers what is anusvara? Anusvara is, go ahead.
After sound?
After sound, exactly. And it is the mark under the M. It's always with the letter M. And it indicates the previous vowel is nasalized, and the after sound, which is the consonant after it, is possibly changed unless it happens to be 5th varga. So the other 2 are avagraha. What is that one? Who remembers?
S, S,
It looks like a capital S. It's a mark that looks like a big S. And what it means is we had to drop a letter A. So it's the mark that marks the absence of a letter A when two vowels come together and you can't have an A. And the last of the four markers, virama, anusvara, avagraha, the last one is visarga. Who remembers what's visarga? What does it look like and what does it do? Visarga is the final vowel. It's the two dots after the letter, and it adds a rough breathing sound to that letter. So it is, if we had a visarga on visarga, it would be visargaha. And it's at the end, usually, not always. Okay, next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to write the vocalic R. Now, this word at the very top is verde, verde. Who remembers what verde means in grammar?
straighten.
Say again.
The vowels are straightened.
Yes, the vowel is strengthened, and those are A and O. But that's not our topic here. That's just remembering what it means. Do you see that little curve under the first letter? There's a V, and it has a little curve underneath it.
Yes.
That is a vocalic R. So in Devanagari, when you have a vocalic R, which is we write in IAST as an R with a dot under it, this is the way you're going to see it in Devanagari. So it doesn't look like those very fancy letters we saw earlier, does it? Those two are initial vocalic R's. But when the vocalic R comes inside a word, this is how you write it. Okay, so the word is verde, and you actually know 3 of the 4 characters in verde now. Which 3 do you already know based on what we studied earlier? Today you see the vocalic R, that's 1. What else do you know?
Sorry, what's the question?
In this Devanagari word, verde, which is written here, there are what I would say are 4 characters, and you already know 3 of them, but you don't know one of them. Which 3 do you already know? One of them is vocalic R, because we just learned that.
We know the V.
Yes, we know the V.
We know the R, which is the curl underneath the V, which we've just taught us. And we know the D. And then the I at the end is to the left, so it means it is short, I think.
Short, verde. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that you gave us 4 elements, and one of them we don't actually know, because that is a duh, but it's not just a plain duh. So let's leave that out until next week. Let's agree that we know the V, the R, and the short I, because it's written to the left of the consonant with the hook. So you know a lot, but you don't know 100% there yet. Okay.
And yes, Christina,
If that's what you can, I can't. I'm not hearing you. You're breaking up. Maybe if you turn your video off, we can hear you. Try that. No, write in chat. All right, we'll wait for Kathy to write this in the chat. But let's look at the last two words there, just for contrast's sake. What are those things written underneath those last two Devanagari words?
U and U.
Yes. U and U. Which one is which?
The first one is short, the last one is long.
Yes. So I want you to look at the U's and contrast them to the vocalic R. Yulia says U as well. So you see how different they are. But they don't look that different. So you're going to need to pay special attention to those. Now, who can read those last two words? Well, actually, don't try the first one. Who can read the second word there?
The first one is Putra.
First one is Putra, but we haven't actually learned that other letter. So that's extra credit. What is the last one?
Is it Boot?
No, there's no virama there.
Uta. Uta.
There you
Uta. Uta.
Uta.
Uta.
Uta. Perfect. Yes. All right, let's try the next slide. All right. Here is an initial vocalic R. So we just saw the vocalic R inside a word. Here's what a vocalic R looks like if it begins the word. So you know all the letters in both of these words. So let's quickly recite the vowel sound. Do this with me. We know it all by now. Open your mics. I,
I,
R,
R, R,
dear.
Ler,
I, O,
I, O, Ow.
Okay. So now we remember how to pronounce this. So somebody say the first word for me. Sound it out just like you were in kindergarten. When you were a child in kindergarten, learning your own language, you would put the words and the vowel sounds together by going very slowly through this, right? So we know how to say the first letter, which is R, right? So let's everybody say R,
R,
right? Now, what is the vowel next to the next consonant?
She,
It's well, that's both. Sh. It's a cerebral sibilant, sh, with a short I attached to it. So it would be sh, sh,
Ershe.
sh. That's how you say that. And it's a masculine noun meaning sage or hermit. Now, the next word has a long initial vowel. So it's going to be held for 2 beats. There's my drum. And you know it has 3 syllables. So what is the second syllable there? What is that consonant? We just wrote it. The second consonant, the second letter.
It's
Na, na,
Yes. Which
no. No.
which one?
cerebral.
Cerebral n. And what is the vowel attached to that cerebral n?
O,
Which?
A.
I'm not hearing well. Say again.
vowel O.
Oh, exactly. It's a downstroke with a feather on it. So we have a R, a N, and an O. Now, what's the last consonant in that word?
Ta.
Ta. It's a dental ta. And what vowel is attached to that consonant?
E.
I. So we have 3 syllables, 2 consonants, and 3 vowels. So how would you put them together in this verb?
Ernoti.
Perfect. No te. No te. And this happens to be a verb that means to go or to move. See how much Sanskrit you know? It's amazing. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right. So there's a slight difference in the pronunciation of the vowel and the semivowel. So we've learned well how to pronounce R because we keep singing it in the alphabet song. So, it almost sounds, if you wrote it in English, like you would write E-R-R-R or something, R, R. Little bit softer. But the semivowel, which functions often as a consonant, is rolled and it's stronger. It sounds a little bit like a Spanish R, but not quite that much. So because it's an abugida and it has an attached we would say that second consonant there, that second character, ra. So everybody say er, and then ra. Practice. Open your mics. Er,
Er,
Ra.
er, ra,
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 ra. See the difference?
ra.
It's subtle, but it's definitely different. Let's go to the next slide, please. All right. So we learned just now how to write the vowel with either that very fancy character or that tiny little curve underneath. Now we're going to learn about writing the semivowel. So I tried to draw a line in the PowerPoint between the first 2 words and the second 2 words, but the line moved up. So pretend that line is in between the first 2 words and the second 2 words because they have some differences, but they're all semivowels, the semivowel R. So who can read the first word there in Devanagari? What is that second consonant? Because we know the first consonant.
Ja.
Ja. So how would you say this word?
Raja.
Yes.
Raja.
Raja. Raja.
Raja.
That's right. Raja. How is a Russian or Ukrainian R? Is that a rolled R?
Yeah, it's very rolled.
So it's more like a Russian or a Ukrainian R and a Spanish R. Raja. So that's how you write an initial semivowel R. Now, who can read the second word? You know all those letters also.
Paramita.
Very good, but pay more attention to long and short. Say it one more time.
Paramita. Ta. Long. Yeah, the last is long.
Yeah, the two middle are short, so you did the long ones well. So it would be paramita, paramita. And it means it's a feminine noun meaning having crossed to the other side. So the first word has an initial semivowel ra, and the second one has an internal semivowel ra. It's inside the word, but they look the same, right? Now the third word there is, let's see. The third word is prajna. And you see the R there attached to the P. And the way the R looks here is as a downward leaning stroke coming out of the P. And that's because it is a compound consonant. So when ra is written together with another consonant without a vowel in between, this is what it looks like. In one case, I told you there were many variations to the letter R. So Sanskrit is full of compound consonants, and this is the first example that we're going to learn. And most other compound consonants are easier to spot, and we'll go through those in the next week or two. But this is the two main ways a ra, a semivowel ra, is written when it's combined with another consonant. So the first one is a downstroke coming out of the other consonant, as in this word, prajna. Now look at the last word there. That word is dharma. What do you notice about the semivowel ra in this Devanagari word?
The R is on top of the sutra.
It's exactly. The R is on top of the sutra. So it looks like that little curve for the vocalic R that's under the letter. But here it's a semivowel R, ra, and it's on top of the sutra. It's very hard to wrap your mind around this, but we'll get used to it with practice. So if you see that little curve underneath a consonant, it's a vocalic R. If you see that little curve on top of the sutra, it's a semivowel ra. It's a consonant. So here, if you look at the English, you can see that the R is actually in a compound with the M. So the first syllable is the, and the second syllable is ruma. Of course, in English and other modern languages, we break it up in between the R and the ma. So we say dharma, and that's much easier to understand. But the R is actually attached to the ma, so it's written on top of the ma. So look how far away it is from the. Andreas, you have a question.
Yes. So the third word, the ra is a consonant and it becomes a compound consonant. In the
Yes.
fourth word, it's a vowel and it's not a compound consonant, it's just a diacritical sign. Is that correct?
Oh, good question. In both of these words, prajna and dharma, it's a consonant. It's just written in a wildly different way. And that's why
Okay.
we're spending an hour today on the letter R. It is the most mobile and versatile, not to say crazy, letter. And it has many different ways of appearing. I think this morning we've already seen 5 or 6. So these are all semivowels on this slide. The very first word is an initial ra. The second word is an internal ra. The third word is a compound consonant ra written in a certain way. And the fourth word is a compound consonant with ra written in a completely different way. So they've decided in their ancient wisdom not to write dharma with a stroke coming out of the ma, but to write it on top of the sutra. So spend some time internalizing this. Okay. Let's see, do I have any other comments? Yeah, I think we've gone over everything I want to say. The only other thing is that in Dharma, and you will find this as we read more Devanagari, it's going to be hard to remember to write or to pronounce the R where it belongs, because it always looks like it's farther down the word when you actually need to deal with it, writing it and pronouncing it much earlier than it looks. Kathy has a question. Okay. Don't recognize the first consonant in the third word. That's because it's a compound. It's a double consonant. So what you see is the first consonant we just practiced in the fifth varga, which is pa, but we added this downstroke to it because it's actually a pa combined with a r. So you need to read that pra. Is that clearer now?
All right.
And we are going, say again.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, good. And we are going to learn many, 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 many more compound consonants. You will be amazed. But all right, we didn't get too far today. So we're going to take up the rest of what we have to cover next week. But Marina, can we skip all the way to the last slide? It says enough for today. I think it's slide, what number is it? 29. Okay. No, way past that. More. Slide 29. Well, I'm going to read it while it comes up. I want to thank you. Your attention and your interest in Sanskrit is priceless. So everyone, please rejoice tonight that you are doing Sanskrit. During coffee meditation, you are helping to keep Sanskrit alive. You are preserving a precious part of our tradition. you're going to teach Sanskrit yourself one day if you're not already doing that. And you are working to spread the authentic Dharma in the world. And if any one of you is thinking, oh, I'm not doing that, yes, you are. And I request that you rejoice that tonight, please, and every night. So I'll see you next week. And we have now 3 homeworks. You should have them. If you don't, email us. And 2 answer keys, the 3rd one coming, a quiz this week, and more to come. Kathy wants to know how best to study, and I'm going to suggest going over the PowerPoints, which we will send you, and making a list of questions, which you can put in the Telegram, and we'll try to deal with in between. Okay, what else? Other questions? We're a little bit over time, so people need to go.
Yes, I have a question. Can you have some advice how to type Devanagari in keyboard?
Oh,
It's a little bit difficult for me.
what is it? Is it an English keyboard, or do you have a special Ukrainian or Russian one?
Both, and Russian and English.
Okay, on MS Word in English, which is all I am familiar with, you can install something called Extended ABC. And it will create on the computer 2 things. It will create IAST with shortcut keys for the diacriticals, and it will produce a very ugly version of Sanskrit. So look into something called Extended ABC for MS Word. And I have it on a Macintosh. And if you don't have Word, I'm not sure how to help, but maybe we could research that. So try that and report back to us if that works. Do you have MS Word? Microsoft Word is an application.
Yes, I have this.
This program.
Yes.
Okay. So Google Extended ABC for MS Word and see what you come up with. Other questions? Yulia has it. Okay, good. All right, see you guys next week. Put questions in the Telegram and we'll try to work on them during the week. And the next answer key will be coming to you soon along with the quiz. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, teacher. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.